Hey, it's Allie Edwards and welcome to another episode of Craft the Story. This week we're going to focus on two things. Number one, using a full page photo as the foundation for your layout or project. And number two, using what you have. So using something that's already in your possession, that's within your stash, that's maybe on your desk. Depending on how you work, you may be like me and you might have a table situation where things start piling up over time. Maybe there are new things that have been sent to you. There are things you've had for a long time. There are things that you've taken out of boxes or whatever, other storage spots and brought to your table. That's what I want to do today, is use some of those things on a full page photo foundation. Let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so I printed this photo. This is one that I took from Day in the Life this past week. It is obviously a photo of me standing in the grass. The funny story here was I went out to take a couple pictures of myself outside. It's like around 6:30 in the morning with my coffee, and I locked myself outside. Like our doors, they have locks on the handle sort of thing, and I had locked it, so I had to walk through the grass back around to the front yard, which made me laugh, and I thought it was really funny. And then I was thinking about, oh, this is kind of like grounding. I'm walking with bare feet in the grass is supposed to be good for you. So that was how I took it. But I took this photo as one of the photos during the day, and a couple things that I really love about working with full page photo foundations like this. I'm going to cut it out. This is a 13 by 19 piece of paper. The photo is sized to 12 by 12. I took this with my iPhone, so you can definitely enlarge photos to bigger sizes using your iPhone. What I love about full page photo foundations and what that actually means is, instead of using a piece of cardstock or a piece of pattern paper as the base of my project, I'm going to use a photo. And so when I take pictures, I often will be really intentional about how I'm looking through the lens of the camera, and I will look for opportunities to include more white space. So in design, white space is an area like this, right? It's not white, but it's kind of a blank space. And to me, I look for opportunities to include this kind of space because I can use that as a home for my embellishments, my story, other photos, lots of different kind of things. So I'm building on top of this photo itself. Other ways that I will look for white space, sometimes it's including more sky. So putting tilting your camera up a little bit so that you're getting more sky in the picture rather than the people. And then you can do, all of the different things that you can do up in the sky, writing your journaling, adding on embellishments. Same thing with the ground. Maybe it's grass, it's cement, it's different things like that. I love this because it helps you, it can help you in the process of looking through the lens of your camera more intentionally as a memory keeper or as a storyteller, where you're really looking for opportunities to create homes for your story that can be on top of a photo. So the way that I do this, obviously you saw this come out of my printer, 12 by 12 photo again. I'm going to use my paper trimmer here and we're going to trim this out. And then, like I said, the other thing that I wanted to do today was basically deal with some of the products that I have here on my desk. Some of it is Story Kit stuff. Some of it is Stories by the Month. Those are both subscriptions that we offer. Some of it is the chipboard that I just organized a couple weeks ago. Some of it, there's a bunch of stamps. There are also some of the stuff from our Storytelling Basics collection. And that's probably what I will end up using on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive into that in a minute. Let's start just by cutting this out. Now, thinking of the different kinds of stories that I might tell with this, like when I look at a photo like this, I'm probably not just going to be telling the story of drinking coffee outside. Like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity, most likely to tell some kind of right now story. This is also a good example of when you do a project like day in the life or maybe week in the life, I always take more pictures than I actually use in the project. And so I end up with some really great everyday life kinds of photos that I love. And that gives me the opportunity to tell different kinds of stories that are outside of the project. I definitely don't use all of the photos that I take for day in the life. This time especially, I'm probably gonna use 9, maybe I'll use a few more, I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna be working on that next week in terms of putting all of that content together. You can click over to my blog, I'll put a link for you guys to be able to see the photos that I took on day in the life, along with the words that I'm going to be including in some way in the 4x6 album that we offered as the home for those this year. All right, so I have this cut out here, and I'm gonna use this. This is gonna be the bottom. This is gonna obviously be the top then. And so what I'm looking for as I look through my supplies is, what do I have here that I could place around, probably in the grass area. It might be more specific and direct than that. For the next upcoming story kit, I think of the 3 main projects that I did, they were almost all using a full page photo as a foundation. It's just one of my favorite ways to work. I do it in December daily. I've done it in lots of different sizes, in all of the sizes actually that I do memory keeping projects in, and it's a fun way of using real life as the foundation for your story compared to using products, right? Compared to using pattern paper or cardstock. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm actually just gonna look a little bit on my desk here and see what do I have that I might wanna work with, and then we'll talk about that. Also, one thing that I think that really works with when you want to do a project using some of the stuff that you might have out on your table, it's a good opportunity to clean up. So just like you guys saw me go through the chipboard and that sparked stories for me, just going through the products that I have right here will definitely spark stories for me that I might want to include on here. So one thing you can do, and this is one of the things that I like to talk about related to full page photo foundations, is you always have the opportunity to just add a journal card, like a 3x4, 4x6 journal card, depending on the size of your photo, right on top, right? This could literally be the main embellishment or the main thing that I add onto this photo, and just add in, 6 things or 10 things or however many are on this card. This was from the action kit about right now, right? That could be the thing. I'm also pulling out there was some fun day in the life stuff. This was from last year's day in the life collection. I'm looking through that as well. One of the things this is making me think about while I'm working on this and kind of trying to figure out what exactly is the story that I'm telling on here, I'm thinking about tags, and I am wishing that I had any tags that I have in my collection of stuff here. I'm wishing I had them all together, which I could look in the chipboard, because I remember that I do have those chipboard tag shapes. But even just these little tags, like I'm wishing I had all of those together in one place so that I could look at them and decide what I want to use. So that's something I want to keep in mind for myself for the future. Okay, so as I'm looking through some of these products, I am thinking about, what kind of story could I tell about right now that's a little bit different maybe from the ones that I will tell in my actual day in the life documenting. That's kind of top of mind right now. One of the stories that I can always come back to again and again and again is documenting what I am thankful for. And I think that is what I'm gonna do. As I looked through, you saw me cut out this is from the March Stories by the Month. I kind of, yellow is popping up for me right now. I always love yellow. This is from the Ups and Downs collection, so Looking for the Good there. This was an add-on to one of the action story kit. I think it's fabric, and I'm actually thinking that I might cut this one too, because I'm liking the circle shapes. Circles are something that I've always liked, and I like the idea. This is kind of why I was looking at the tags. I like the idea of having all of the shapes that I add on top of here be similar shapes, so circles, tags, whatever. So I'm fine with having imperfect, like messy circles. Those are something that I've always kind of had fun with. So thinking about cutting those two things into the circle shapes and then pairing those with these circles here, I can kind of dot them around the page. And I don't know if I want to use the inside of the coffee cup. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Even if maybe it's going to go around like this. But I'm thinking that I can use these and the circles. These are in the part of the Storytelling Basics collection. I can use these with the numbers and put the numbers right on them, and each one of them will be something I'm thankful for right now. So do 5 things I'm thankful for right now can be the jumping off point for this story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these gold numbers here, and I'm just going to actually put them right onto the circles, and then I will write something that I am thankful for right now on top of each one of these. This paper is like a matte paper, so it's really good for writing on top. Some stickers are more slick. These are a little more matte, a little easier, I think, to write on. So I'm going to do 5 because I like the odd numbers. But you know, if you had these, you could mix in the other colors if you wanted. I'm just going to stick with the yellow. So when you want to do a project, last week we talked about, you know, things to do when you're not feeling motivated. But when you are feeling motivated, but maybe you can't, you don't have a specific story that you want to tell and you're kind of looking for something, focusing on what you are thankful for, that is always a welcome story. I always feel like that. It's a good grounding opportunity, is part of how I think about it. So that's what I'm going to do today on here. And it's fun. Like, I'm just excited. Like, I'm like, oh, what other yellow things can I find that I could put on here too? All right. So before I handwrite what I am thankful for on here, I'm going to see. You can also do loving, right? You know, like 5 things I'm loving right now. I just was seeing this stamp set was one of the ones I pulled out. I know that I have stamps that have the word gratitude on them. I know I do because we've made many of them. So I'm going to see if I can find one that either says thankful or gratitude, something like that, as my prompt that I will put on there. And then I also want to look through my circles, my circle box. We talked a little bit about this when we were mentioning the chipboard, when I was going through the chipboard. So my circle box always has interesting things in it from past products. That one might be good in that the Hope Lifts Us Up, or the Stay Hopeful, which has the green. I'm just looking for circles that I can add on here. There's a sunshine, you know, got all kinds of things. I have lots of numbers. Those don't belong in there. The sunshines, which I could add maybe over, you know, maybe I'll pull those out as something to consider. I also, from lots of past products or projects, we've done large circles like this in the past. I can see where I've done, you know, cut some other things in the circles before, but some of these we have prompt-based circles, so these could work for this kind of thing too, moving forward. I'm just seeing if there are any that feel very direct. I really just want to stay in bed. That happens sometimes. That's a yellow one, but that's not really the sentiment that I think that I want. I think what I'll do is I'm going to keep going forward with what I have done so far. And then if I need more circles, I can come back to that circle drawer. I'm looking for a gratitude stamp. That's what I'm looking for next. Okay, I found one that I'm going to modify for this. This is a one little word stamp set from this year. And it's got a bunch of prompts on here. And one of them is thankful for these moments. There's a bunch of I am prompts too. And I just want to use the thankful part. So I'm going to cover up, or actually only put ink on the part that says thankful. So let's go ahead and do that. Pull this out of here and then come back to figuring out how it's all going to go together here in a minute. Let's stamp these guys first. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it. You could cut them too. That's not, you can cut your stamps if you want to, but I still want to have the option of using the full thing. So I'm going to do a test on this yellow one right here. Yep, that's going to work exactly how I want it to work. Okay. Or close enough. That one I just didn't get all the way down. Okay, so next I'm going to just think, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to think for a minute about what am I thankful for right now? What are the things in my life at this very moment in time? And you know, sometimes it's harder to identify those things. It's a practice, just like everything else. But I think it's definitely one of those things that the more you do it, the more you're paying attention to it, the easier it is to find the things. Doing thankful lists too, I try to think of really basic stuff, right? It doesn't always have to be like these big, grand, monumental things. I try to think like hot coffee. Every day I'm thankful for hot coffee. I just greatly feel that. So that's one of the things that I'm writing down. Now, one thing you might notice too is that the story that I'm telling today is short, right? I'm not doing a long, typed up, written out thing, which is what I do sometimes. But sometimes I do things that are simple and easy, handwritten, and then we're just gonna get them onto that background photo foundation and call it good. Making a list of the things that I'm thankful for right now could go on any kind of photo, right? So having a photo of my feet drinking coffee, obviously the coffee is linked into the things that I'm thankful for. But other than that, I can write about anything that I want, anything that I'm thankful for right now, and I'm just simply using that enlarged photo as a home for this story. Making thankful lists helps us pay attention to our lives, right? Because it helps us start noticing things that maybe we haven't put on our thankful list previously, but now they are really popping up as something that we are noticing that is awesome in our lives, right? An opportunity to kind of count those things up and document those things. Next up, I'm just starting the process of adhering or actually using foam adhesive to temporarily be able to move these around. And I will use that to adhere those down on the background too. I just like being able to move it all around as I'm figuring out where do I want it to go. Those little circles with the thankful, those are making me super happy right now. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to use this Stories of Daily Life one, but I am going to open up my box of chipboard here that we organized last week, or a couple weeks ago, whenever that was now. And I wanted to see what other circles, are there any other circles that I have, or messy circles, or even the half circles, because the half circles could work around this on the sides of the page. So let's see if there's any of those that I might want to use here. That one's still fun just because it looks cool. Kind of nice. So I'm looking a little bit for color, and I'm also looking a little bit for theme, right? Color and or theme. Ooh, also remembering, I think we talked about this a little bit on the chipboard video too, that I could make, you know, a full circle by bringing two of those together. So I'm going to leave that there just so that I remember that that is an option for me. Now, when you get to the part where you start, you know, figuring out how do I actually want to lay this out on here, you can do it in a really organized way, like in a grid, or you can do it very organically where things are kind of just going around the page. Lots of different options when we get to that point. I do have the sunshine. Circles too and see what are there any ones that I want to add. There's full of thanks, like that. Obviously that would work. I knew there would be something in there. I knew there would be something in there like that. And I'm kind of just looking for, you know, what are some sentiments that are either directly related, like thanks, you know, giving thanks or gratitude, but then also ones that maybe relate to my yard or being outside or spring. Like any of those can help support the story that I'm telling in this page. Now, a couple of things I can say about this too. I'm spending a little bit more time, you know, looking for products. I don't always do that. A lot of times I'm really working with whatever the newest thing is. And so it's kind of fun for me to take this opportunity to go back in and be like, okay, where, you know, what are some of these past products that I can use to add in here? What works with what? It feels like a fun piece of the process for me this time. So I'm not gonna go, I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna go through all of the smaller ones, smaller circles. Oh, I do have bigger circles though, I can do those for sure. And here's one that had like a plain one, you know, a plain that could have something else on top of it depending on how many I actually want to add on here. That flower one, like you know, we can do some layering of the chipboard. I think probably what I have here right now is enough. So that's what I was trying to say just a minute ago. Like you can spend all your time going through all your products, especially if you have a lot of products. And sometimes, like we've talked about previously, that can be a barrier. So it's almost like you have to have a timer set for yourself. I mean, I don't know, you could do that if you wanted to, but that jumped out at me, you know, something that says to yourself, okay, that's enough time looking for other products or other things to add to this project. Let's go ahead and just finish this up and get it done. So I'm keeping that in mind as I think about that. So when I'm doing something like this, I definitely enjoy having things that interact with the edges. So interacting with the edges would be something like this, right? Where in real life, or not in real life, but in another design, there would have been, you know, an additional part of this circle shape. So things that I can add to the edge that I can then cut off. That's something that I like to do. I have done some projects before where I'm working on top of the photo where I almost make like a little snake kind of thing. I mean, that's not, you know, it's not actually a snake, but where it's snaking down the page, right? So that things are kind of moving around a little more organically. And some of that can come just from the way that your the space in your photo, right? This blank space that we're working with. If I decide that this is kind of where this begins, and maybe I start with this, maybe the looking for the good is going to go on top of this one. And maybe I want to intersperse some of these other shapes in here. Let's kind of see what this ends up looking like. Stay hopeful could be there. Then we kind of have the 3, kind of just moving down around through the space here. And you know, some of you guys are going to see this and you're going to be like, yes, I'm totally in on this kind of idea. And others of you are going to be like, nope, not for me. You do you. That's what we say, right? You do you. Okay. So let's see, where do I want to go? How far over does this go? So right now it's feeling a little wonky, and I'm kind of feeling like I would like a little more organization. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull things off. And I'm going to go back to just the journaling and see where do I want to put those. And then I can kind of think a little bit more about how do I want to add more of these in. So if I wanted to do something that was more grid based, let's just kind of investigate that. Like this could come off, this could come on. The art is waking up. We could have number 4 here. I can think a little bit. I mean, maybe I won't even use that one. Let's play around here. Okay, number 1. What if we do something like this? So I'm thinking about a grid, I'm thinking about simplicity, and I'm thinking about that we have so many options when we tell our stories, right? Okay, 3, I kind of want the full of thanks, but I kind of want this guy right here to be the same size. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to use that as my guide because I'm seeing that I'm really liking this setup here. Again, this is a fabric piece from the Action Story kit. It was an add-on, and I'm just cutting it up. It was like a square before. I'm liking the organized setup of this, so that's why I'm going to adjust this one a little bit. Okay, so if we put Stay Hopeful there, if we put this guy here, the Full of Thanks can be there, or Hello Garden, that was this one maybe. Let's just kind of, we'll see how we go. If we come down this way. So I need something, I need a back for that one, and I need to decide if I want my toe covered up. There's something about covering up that toe that just doesn't feel right to me. So let's see if we kind of move this up a little bit. And I think that this chipboard might feel too big for me. Let's see. And maybe I just need to get over it related to the my foot. Or I can do something like this and just have one extra one here on the bottom, or this extra one could be on the top to start it out if I wanted to do Full of Thanks. Because then it's a little bit bigger, and so it feels like it makes sense to be down there. I do like the looking for the good though too. How about this? But I still want to use this guy too. What if we cover up the coffee? What happens in that? Does it just look weird? Yeah. Okay, the other thing I could do is leave it so that I just have the 5 there and put Full of Thanks on top of one of these other ones. Like that probably works good. Okay, so I don't know that I want to cover up that Stay Hopeful. So let's see if I have another one. I think maybe the Hope lifts stuff up. I kind of like the Stay Hopeful, and I don't mind covering up that one. So that just would give me another option. Okay, so a couple things I want to note about this is that I love the fact that you can take a full page photo like this, especially, you know, in 12 by 12 size, or even if it was a smaller size, and then I can just use the space that's available to me within the photo because I've left that white space or this green grass area on there. So I'm not using all of the other things that I pulled out. I think that's fine. The other thing that I did have here was I still really like these guys too. Maybe see that if I put that up there, I kind of like the idea of like putting a little title right in there, but I could also do one here. Let's see. If I did something here that was like thankful as a title, let's see if I could fit that in up above. Let's see, because I probably want to move it over a little bit now that I know that. Let's see, I'm looking at the space between here and here and the space between here and here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave this as it is. I'm gonna adhere this stuff down. I'm gonna use that over there because I kind of like how that looks within the coffee cup there. This was the other option. Yeah, I like the sunshiny thing. The one thing that I'm missing on here right now is a date, so I'm gonna want to make sure to get that on there. Part of the reason why I like doing videos like this too is so that you can see the evolution, right? And that you can see that there are so many options, which for sometimes and in some situations I think can be frustrating because there are so many options, but I also just like showing you that things can be different than the way that you imagine them. I mean, maybe you imagine a scrapbook page looking completely different, right? Where maybe it has lots of other stuff and all the pattern paper and all those things. And maybe this is just a completely different way for you to potentially approach looking at how you're telling your own stories. So I'm gonna go ahead and just decide that this is good enough and we're gonna go for it, and I'm gonna adhere these down. I'm pretty sure that I want to have this be sticking up as well. So this will go into my 2021 just regular big family album. It'll go inside the page protectors because it's a 12 by 12 page. So I will, if I remember, I will show you putting it in the album, because I remember on another video I talked about how I want to be putting these into an album so that you just see that happening and start making that a part of your own process too. So then one of the last things I want to do here is make sure that I get a date on here. And I'm going to, let's see, where are we at? March 9th is when this was. And I'm just going to stamp this like down here in the corner. You know, you can try to find some other creative place to put it on your page, or you could add it onto one of the circles. For me, it's going to be just fine to put it right down there. I just like having the date on there somewhere. After doing this for years and years and years, whenever I come across a page that doesn't have a date on it, I'm always bummed out. So put the date on the front, put the date on the back, just put the date somewhere. And you know, usually the way that I do it is sometimes it's the date when something happened, you know, or when the actual story happened. Other times it's the date that I'm documenting the story. It just kind of depends on what my angle is on the story. But I could also, I'm gonna add that little guy right there, that little, it's a little making time guy, because that's what I did today, and that was what I did, making time to be thankful, right? To document the things I am thankful for. So the circles, these guys, little chipboard ones are gonna go back into the chipboard. These are gonna go into my larger this just general circle box over there. And I hope this has been a fun way to look at telling some of your own stories. Again, if you've been watching, you know, this is my 10th video so far this year. There's lots of different ways to do this, right? There's lots of different ways to document your stories, from super simple, just focusing on words and photos, to telling longer stories sometimes, to getting really crafty and doing lots of fun things and playing with lots of different supplies and embellishments, to using a full page photo as a foundation and then building a grid on top, and using what you have, right? Using the supplies that you might have in your own stash at home right now. All right, before I wrap up, I did say that I was going to show you how this goes into an album. So this is my 2020 12 by 12 sized album. I don't have very many layouts in there. I didn't do that many in 2020 that would fit into or go into this kind of a thing. So I'm going to add in 2021 as I need to. You can see there's kind of a mix right now of some 9 by 12s as well as some other 12 by 12s. It's a size that I still do. So I still do it from time to time. So I still need to have albums to be able to hold those kinds of things. The projects that I have in here right now are mostly from story kits. So this was from the Transition Story Kit. There's one from the Cozy Mornings, and I think that you'll see another one, a couple different ones here. You and let's see, there's a Currently, Kindness. This is the one of Simon. This is also a full page photo background. So here's a giant full page photo of Simon, and then I used a bunch of the different starbursts and some plastic phrases from the kit to accentuate and support the story that I told there on that giant starburst. So that's a good example of another full page photo, and a couple other ones that were from past story kits there as well. And then I'm super happy to just be sliding this one in. I'm not worried that it's a mix of 2020 and 21 like that. You know, if you're curious about that, you can go watch my video about my album organization, because it's just not something that I worry about. But I do like having a place to put them. So it always makes me super happy when I slip one of these projects into the page protectors. So if you're enjoying these videos, please feel free to click the subscribe button. You can also, I know there's a little bell that you can get notified when I have new videos. I'm trying to do these every Friday. As always, if you have questions, please feel free and let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you back here next week.